Welcome to the True Man Podcast. This is an invitation to radical reconstruction of a man's masculine heart and soul in a place of safe community where we dare to ask questions deep seated inside a man and explore ways to help you become a better man, a better son, a better dad, and a better spouse. Well, welcome to the True Man Podcast. This is episode number 208. It has been a handful of years. I so distinctly recall starting on podcast one with Paul Bailey, and you've heard me tell this story before. It took us a couple of adult beverages to get ourselves fired up enough to hit that record button, and now today, I really can't wait to hit that record button. So to get all this way to 208, 120 seemed like a big number is pretty incredible. So you, on occasion on this podcast, have heard me talk. By the way, don't let me forget. And isn't it interesting? Over this time of podcasting, that I've been a part of 4 books, including my book, True Man, True Ways, a roadmap of discovery to the masculine heart. And I do want to point out that you can go to my website, truemanlifecoaching.com, go to the books tab. That book is available. I point that out because it's there as a resource. It's there to help you. It's there to help your buddies and your friends. And if you'd like me to come speak to your group or talk to your group, by all means, send me an email, Mike at truemanlifecoaching.com. Get it on my calendar, which you will find on my website. And I'm more than happy to talk with you about that. Just one of the many great things that have happened to me as a result of this podcast. And, I talk a lot about numbers on this podcast, statistics, things that are going on in the world, because it really backs up a lot of things. This episode is no different. We're going to talk about the number 208 in a very deeply and intentional way. So, might not, what my hope would be is it's not, the number 208 is not just revealing about you, but it's reveals a little about the journey and mine as well. So we're going to use 208. We're going to talk about angel numbers. Now, this is not some woo-woo thing, so hold on. Hold on here. We're going to talk about what are angel numbers if you haven't heard what angel numbers are. I'm always intrigued by this whole idea of numbers. You know that the Bible uses all kinds of numbers, and quite often you're hearing about 3s and 7s and 12s, right? So before your eyes glaze over here, hit a little pause, and we're gonna talk about these angel numbers and what they mean. They aren't some mystical fluff stuff. They are simply patterns, repeating numbers or specific number sequences that many believe God uses to speak encouragement, guidance, and alignment into our lives. Now, some folks may call this a coincidence. I don't tend to use that phrase. Others would call it divine whispers. I usually fall in that camp. Either way, these numbers show up in times when you need clarity, reassurance, or direction. So if God can speak into burning bushes and donkeys and still small voices, why wouldn't he be able to speak in to numbers? So let's talk a little about this number 208. What does it mean? And the meaning behind this little angel number here is simple and strong. It's about trust, provision, and alignment. So here's the message behind angel number 208. It's this: God will provide you with the resources you need to accomplish your journey. He has your best interest at heart. So avoid cultivating doubt, work hard, and trust that He will bring the best from your efforts. That sink in a little bit. He wants the best from your efforts. So how many of us are grinding away day in and day out, wondering if we're doing enough? Wondering if the work matters. Have you thought about that? I commonly think about that. Wondering if God is really in this with us. I don't so much think about that. I know He is. So, angel number 208 steps into that moment of uncertainty when you do have doubt and says, yes, yes, sir. Keep going. I've got you. The number 208 reminds us to stop cultivating doubt. See, doubt grows the way weeds grow in our garden, quick, wild, and destructive. And if you water doubt, it's going to choke out your faith. If you feed fear, it's going to kill your courage. So the number 208 says, don't waste energy on fear. Instead, work hard and trust God with the harvest. Now, the second half of what 208 represents is this: surround yourself with people who trust God. Not perfect people. None of us are. Not people who quote verses, but people who live them out. I'm talking about men and women who genuinely walk by faith, even when it's inconvenient, unpopular, and uncomfortable. Why? Because faith is contagious. It's built in community, and when your tank is low, those people around you can help fill it back up. They remind you to stay rooted in the truth when your circumstances feel unstable. I precisely went to certain people prior to developing this podcast to ask questions. In your case, you may find a church, join a small group, start a men's circle, plug into your tribe. The number 208 tells us to fellowship with believers, so your connection to the divine doesn't fade into the background. So let me bring this back home here a little bit. I've always been intrigued by certain numbers, specifically even numbers. I like even numbers. My favorite number is 24. That comes from my all-time favorite player at the University of Iowa, Bob Hansen, back when I was a child. So I adopted the number 24. When I played football, I flipped that around. I wore jersey number 42. In baseball, it was 12. Some may call this a preference. Some may call this a superstition, but there's always been something clean, powerful, and balanced about even numbers to me. I'm really big with the number 2 and 4. By the way, I was born on the 22nd of January. Interesting, right? 2s and 4s. So here we are on episode 208, right? 2, there's the 2. You take 8. I like to think of that as 4 plus 4. 2 plus 2 equals 4. You see how all this works? An even number. So, there's, it just so happens that, this carries a spiritual mission: provision, trust, and transition for me. It's all no coincidence that I've put this together here today. Here's the truth. This episode just isn't about numbers. It is about change. And I've got some news to share with you, something I've been thinking about, mulling over, praying about for a while now, and just wondering what I should do. After over 200 episodes of the True Man podcast, I've decided to temporarily pause the show. Now, before you jump to conclusions, let me reassure you, this isn't because of burnout, failure, or doubt. Quite the opposite. In fact, the True Man podcast has opened up some incredible doors. And as a direct result of this show, I've been working on another business project really over the last 3 years, something that deeply aligns with my values, my mission, and the purpose that God has called me into. And now that business really needs my full attention. It's growing, it's demanding, and most importantly, it's good. It really is good. So I'm hitting the pause button not because I'm walking away from this mission, but because I'm doubling down on it in a very different way for now. And I want you to know this. I love this podcast. I love this format. I love the guests. I love the conversations. I love the things that have come out of it. And maybe most importantly, I love who I've become as a result of it. And even over the last year, uh, you know, over the last year, it's right at a year I started doing solo podcasts. Really felt like I had something to say. Was in an incredibly curious state about certain things, and I wanted to see where it led. So for right at a year, I've been doing solo podcasts, and this has doing this podcast for overall has really stretched me. It's challenged me. It's humbled me. It's taught me to listen better, speak clear, and just show up more honestly. It's been a place of growth, not just for you, I hope, but for me as well. So even as I press this pause button, I do so with deep, deep gratitude because I know this isn't the end. I do know that it's a reset, not a retirement. And when we return, and yes, we will do so with more fire, more focus, and a stronger mission to reach out to those 1 million men with the message of true man. That's always been the goal, never wavered from it. And I've looked for ways to try to get there. So we'll come back with more stories, interviews, tools, and challenges to help men rise up with strength, clarity, and purpose. We'll come back with a sharper edge and a louder voice. But right now, the Lord has made it clear to focus, build, and trust Him. And that, my friends, is how angel number 208 is playing out in real time. So let me end today with this. Maybe you're in a season of transition too. Maybe you're standing at the edge of something that feels uncertain or uncomfortable. You're not sure if you should take the leap. Listen, if God is calling you to something, trust Him to provide. Trust Him to surround you with the right people. Trust Him to bring fruit from your effort. You see, angel number 208 isn't just for me, it's really for you too. You don't need to know all the steps ahead. You just need to take the next right one with confidence. So maybe it's time to stop asking, can I do this? And start declaring, with God, I will. Our society and our culture keeps going faster and faster, and that speed can be a good thing, especially if we're talking about an emergency situation. But it can also be a bad thing when we get caught up in the wrong influences. It can lean towards bad decision making. And in this moment, I hear God saying, Mike, just be quiet, be slow, be deliberate, be discerning. I hear God saying, pause this so that you can be in action someplace else. Now, please don't misunderstand what is going on here. My mission to touch those 1 million lives goes on. It will continue. And at this moment, it just looks a little different. And I'm keeping all these wonderful podcasts alive and well so that you can go out and listen to your favorite shows at any given point until God really speaks into this mission of true man in a different way. So this isn't goodbye. It's really see you later. Stay connected, stay grounded, stay faithful. You can still visit truemanlifecoaching.com. We're not pulling it down, it's there. In fact, I continue to work on a number of different projects. You can still reach out to me at mike@truemanlifecoaching.com. You can still grow in your identity and your calling even without the podcast in your ear each week. Now, episode 208 was never random. It's a divine marker in the road. And let's honor it with faith and boldness. So until we meet again, stand tall, lead strong, and live true. And as I always end this show, don't go out and have an average, mediocre day. No. Go out and have your best day ever. God bless you. And thank you for supporting and listening to the True Man Podcast.